Hello there, friends. I'm Anna Prosser-Robinson, and I'm so thrilled to welcome you back to the ONOG Summer Circuit here at PAX 2015. We want to thank you so much for your patience, as we did have a lot of internet issues earlier that forced us to take our players back to the hotel, where they've been continuing to compete for a $25,000 prize pool. We are now back in the venue. Our internet has been solid for about an hour, so we're hoping we can bring you that seamless tournament experience you deserve. Thank you so much for staying in touch with us. By the way, using the hashtag GEICO Gaming, you could also be rewarded for using that hashtag by winning a new PC. So keep it coming. And like I said, the tournament has been ongoing. So to tell you a little bit more about what's been happening, where the tournament stands, and who's about to play next, here are our casters, Frodan and Monk.
Thank you very much, Anna, and a big welcome back, everybody who have been watching patiently with us, both on stream and at the venue. We are returned here to try to see if we can, stabilize for a while and get our winners match done for Group A.
Yeah, we've had it's been a really long time. We've been in this broadcast for about 3 or 4 hours at least, and we've gotten 2 great matches done. But you know what? We have 3 more left in the day, and hopefully these will be as seamless as the last match that we played.
Well, we did see Dart and Nostam go at it. Nostam did end up winning that series. Now, Nostam is here on the winner's match up against Colento. Now, he does come here as the underdog, but there's an opportunity for both players to be familiar with each other's decks by now. They can see what classes they bring, more specifically some of the interesting card choices. And that's going to be really helpful for the second time around, especially if Nostam gets to play Dart again, or if Tom plays against Colento once more.
Yeah, a really interesting storyline was that it seemed like Dart was kind of tinkering all his decks in order to just beat the mysterious challenger deck that Colento is bringing. Meanwhile, Nostam doesn't have that kind of strategy. So Dart might be in some trouble in the loser's bracket where Tom may or may not be running that mysterious challenger deck. Yeah,
it depends. I know the Taiwanese get a lot of feedback that their decks are pretty standard, right? They're not really the ones primarily doing innovation, but they're the ones perfecting play. That's where guys like Roger and Frozen Ice, all of them excel the most, and Tom's no exception. You look at them, they're strong players, but are they the ones that you have to be worried about and bring something weird? Probably not. Not really.
Yeah, the Taiwanese players are known for bringing Druid, they're known for bringing Zoo, they're known for bringing Handlock, Patron. Just very good examples of just solid, strong decks that aren't too creative. But moving on to these 2 players that will be competing now, Colento and Nostam, they actually have quite a bit of history themselves. In the first ever ONOG feature tournament, they faced off as the first match. So they were our inaugural match in a certain way. Nostam won 3-2 in that match, but they also faced off in the loser's bracket where Colento destroyed Nostam 3-2. So kind of back and forth, and we'll have like a best of 3 of best of 5s in this scenario.
Let's take a look at their classes and see what they have coming up here. For anybody who doesn't know and they've been tuning in midway, we had Colento on the Paladin, the Warrior, and the Priest. He was able to use that very effectively and win 3-0 up against Tom 60229. That was very impressive. And of course, Nostam, he's the one bringing a very interesting lineup. He's got the Warrior as well, but he has that Freeze Mage deck as well as the Hunter, which has some really interesting aggressive options, and I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of a battle between the old and the new. Nostam, for the most part, he's been using all pre-TGT cards. In fact, out of all 3 of his decks, we only saw 3 TGT cards, all 3 of them in the Hunter deck. 2 Argent Horse Riders and 1 Garrison
Commander. Yeah, the Garrison Commander was really interesting in Hunter, so he can hero power twice. It's just really cool because you often have these floating mana crystals as the game develops, and then you want to try to utilize it as much as possible, but as the Hunter, you have cheap cards, and the hero power leaves you like 3-4 more mana as the game develops. That Garrison Commander allows you to punch twice effectively for it. And of course, he has that Patron Warrior, which he played as well to wrap it up, and that, of course, contrasts with what Colento has brought.
Yeah, Colento has brought 3 pretty much new TGT decks. He's brought Dragon Warrior, he's brought Dragon Priest, and he's also brought the Mysterious Challenger deck that has just been dominating all the ladders recently. I believe on the front page of Reddit right now, we have Nibs submitting a pretty funny post with
some classic memes, as you can imagine. They're very dank, so if you want to go ahead and check it out, it's on the front page of our forums that we browse. I'm not sure if you guys browse other things like Battle.net or Hearthstone, etc. And in the meantime, we can also have an opportunity to chat there too. And we do encourage you guys to continue chatting online. I think Anna brought it up, but she didn't mention that it was a TSM PC.
That makes all the difference.
Cool. It's cool. That's right. And I mean, that's pretty much as good as it gets in terms of some of the PC brands that you can have from a team. I'd love to have an extra PC. I already have a PC. I don't want to get too greedy, but I could always use a second PC.
Yeah, when are those Tempo Storm PCs coming out, Dan?
Well, probably at the same time as our next episode of the animated series, so hopefully never.
It wasn't that bad. It had its moments.
It was pretty bad.
Okay.
But to be fair, I was also pretty bad. I'm not a good voice actor. I actually asked Blizzard, and I asked Ben Brode specifically. I was like, hey, could I do voices for some cards? And he said, sure, as long as you're willing to go through, voice training and actors school or whatever they do for voice actors and, go through this 4.5-year process to just do, 2 cards.
So you're saying Amaz has gone through that process already?
No, well, other languages aren't as... I mean, it's determined by their own regional companies. So, for example, in China, NetEase determines it, not Blizzard. So
okay, fair enough.
They choose what they want.
Fair enough. We're seeing the lineups right now, as you mentioned. Very standard lineup for Nostam, Patron Warrior, Freeze Mage, some kind of Phase Hunter that he's added a few TGT cards in. Meanwhile, Colento, I'd venture to guess that almost half of the cards in all his decks combined are TGT cards.
That's a pretty high density of the Grand Tournament cards. I really like the direction in which TGT fires. It feels like every style of deck got help. I know some people have said the aggro didn't really get a lot of love, but that's not true at all. You look at some of the cards like Argent Horse Rider, or even if you examine cards a little bit closer like Garrison Commander, that does fit in the aggressive Hunter deck if you can utilize correctly. But Brave Archer, for example, is another aggressive card.
Well, Mysterious Challenger Paladin.
Just Jiraxis. Yeah.
Sure.
Mysterious Challenger.
Only Eloise. But yeah, Mysterious Challenger is the new aggro deck in a way, and if people who say that aggro didn't get a lot of help, well, we can just point to that deck.
Well, it's interesting. It's both. It's more like an aggressive tempo deck. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. In the meantime, we have Hunter versus Priest to start things off. This will be a good test to see just how consistent the Priest can be, because when pushed to this limits, the Priest deck can buckle sometimes under pressure if not given the right curve or the right opportunities. And this is a good example immediately. Twilight Whelp is nothing more than abusive Sergeant play on turn 1.
Yeah. So one of the reasons Hunters have become less popular these days is because specifically of these Dragon decks that seem to be able to control the board so well, but when you get this kind of start without a Dragon in your hand, it's not really what you want. Now the Hunter will have he'll have a huge advantage because he has the tempo plays, but Deathlord will stop that in its tracks.
Or so Colento hopes. There is the opportunity for Amisha. Nope, never. It's just the Huffer.
Polymorph 4 on an empty board. Yeah, so Deathlord will actually do a lot of work. Typically these Hunter decks, the Face Hunter versions anyway, they don't run Hunter's Mark, which is kind of the bane of Deathlord. And not only that, but Deathlord, when it activates the Face Hunter deck, it pretty much only has the small minions in the deck. So very little chance for something huge. The best would be an Arcane Golem coming from this, and we know that Nostam already has that Golem in his hand.
Yeah, or that's even if he allows the Deathlord to die. He could use the Valence Chosen if he wants to keep this single target alive and not give Hunter more options. But on the flip side, it is going to be the turn before Holy Nova, so if something does get popped out, most likely he should be able to kill it as well. Annoying. Annoying is the word of choice here, what that Deathlord represents. It's just problematic to get through it efficiently. He has the floated mana, can't really use that one crystal remaining, and he's going to have to give up almost his entire board.
And what does he give it up for? Knife Juggler, pretty good, but it's just going to die straight up to the Blackwing Corruptor.
Yes. And he drew another dragon that's very helpful, the Twilight Guardian. That's going to be more problematic. Just look at how much this deck has been helped by those cards like Twilight Guardian and the Deathlord being able to do major work with taunts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just so many taunts in this deck, but I think the MVP of the match so far has been that Deathlord, which is not even a TGT card.
No, it's an Naxxramas card. It's a throwback.
Nax is out, guys.
Death to the pretender.
I think there's no other play here than the Holy Nova. These plays have been relatively straightforward. I think the one important decision of note is Kalento's choice to go for the Valence chosen. Outside of that, Nostam has been drawing very awkwardly, and it continues. He gets kill command and unleash the hounds, but he's so far away from killing his opponent right now.
Yeah, when the priest is pretty much at the same life that you are, you know you're not in a pretty good spot.
Oh, another great card to pick up too. This is just starting to get out of control.
It's just that this deck has taunt after taunt after taunt, and at least 2 of them will come down this turn, I feel.
Yes.
And heal itself.
Again, good sequencing on Kalento's point of view to try to make it believe maybe he's... Oh, yeah, he wants to... Never mind, forget it. Twilight Guardian's also the same exact thing, too.
Yeah.
I thought you had to try to show that you don't have the dragon. But Nostam, what is he left to do here? Just push through the taunts. That's all he can do.
It's a really sad play, unfortunately. At least he can owl this taunt, but after that, he really doesn't have anything. The hero power from the priest keeps up with the hero power of the hunter.
Yeah, and another really difficult thing, too, is that he already used one of his quick shots, so one of the final outs that you can always theorize is like, well, what if he gets this chain of burn all the way to the piggy bank? Can't even ride that.
Yeah. And here, we see a definite problem with Nostam's lineup. If you look at Kalento's lineup, he has this Dragon Priest, he has Dragon Warrior, which almost... You would think that it might even do better than Dragon Priest.
Well,
and finally, you have the Mysterious Challenger deck, which might be the weaker point against Phase Hunter.
I agree. I'm liking Kalento's position, a very strong first win, but that's what we've come to expect from this deck. One thing I do want to point out, too, is that once again, we saw the Darkbane, and we didn't. Once again, we saw it not really do anything. Yeah. So... Kalento, he probably has a very specific intention of including cards like that into his lineup, but it hasn't yet to see fruits and rewards. And the same thing goes for Nostam, too. We've seen Garrison Commander be nothing more than just a River Crocolisk. He doesn't even hero power with Garrison Commander. He just plays it on curve, and if it survives a turn, maybe he can use it later on in the stage.
Yeah, if you just think about what kind of buffs are in the deck, you get 2 Power Word Shield, 2 Valence Chosen, and then your final card is the Divine Spirit. But we've only seen around like 5 buffs, perhaps a second Divine Spirit in that deck. And if you think about the cards that have synergy with buffs in that deck, you get the Twins, then you get the 2 Dragonkin Sorcerers. And that's like 4 buff cards that you need to buff compared to 5 to 6 buff cards. And that ratio, I don't know if it's enough, basically.
Well, I mean, we kind of bring up these concerns, but yet the results speak for themselves. Kalento's Priest is undefeated today. Well, Kalento hasn't lost today yet. Nostam could hypothetically introduce that, but it's very threatening now that he knows Kalento's bringing Dragon Warrior. It feels like that Freeze Mage is off limits. So he's going to have to go instead with something that he feels is the best chance. That is Hunter once more.
Yeah, I feel like this is definitely the best chance. Just in general, Hunter has an advantage over like the typical aggro paladins, and this is not too different. Ooh. Oh, it's too high.
Kalento gave up his opening hand, but you know what? Who cares? You still have 1 draw per turn.
Yeah. The funny thing about this deck versus Hunter is that a lot of the secrets, like, they are somewhat useful against Hunter. Most notably being Noble Sacrifice, which kind of acts as a heal card.
Yeah, that could be really useful indeed.
Redemption.
That kind of helps fill out the curve in future turns. But for now, he's just going to hero power instead. Does he push into this mad scientist? It's a hard question because if he doesn't, then he's not able to really capitalize onto the redemption secret anyways. Right now, it's not in a position to, and if he plays redemption, then can't really benefit off of it later.
Yeah, the problem with redemption now is that if you have dudes on the field, like your opponent knows that there's a possibility that redemption is one of the secrets. So if you play a secret, more likely than not, he'll either A, go to face, or just kill off the dude and have that dude come back to life. Just a great example of like a secret that's like so situational, and why a possible explanation as to why it wasn't used previously.
Interesting. So now the Knife Juggler comes up, and you can play Redemption to try and give Knife Juggler an opportunity to pop back out.
Yeah, what do you think about that play? Like throwing a 2-1 in where he could have hero powered into like this board that just seems not that strong, and it's a board that's A, not that strong, but B, perfectly strong enough to deal with the 2-1 on the field.
Yeah, it's a tough question to answer. I think he wasn't really prepared for his opponent to play a 1 health minion, because if he played a 2 health minion, he couldn't clear it for the same exact reasons, because he'd only had 2 damage on board. So he was expecting his opponent to play on curve. Why would you coin Mad Scientist and follow it with a 1-drop?
Yeah.
Must move quickly.
That was also a very unique play that's thrown Kalento. And as a result, this game has gotten a little weird. A little weird. I would imagine this goes into the Abusive Sergeant, hit the face with the Argent Squire and just pass. This will force your opponent to attack into the Mad Scientist. Or, not, sorry, with the Mad Scientist into the Knife Juggler. He just goes face. If you go face, you still eliminate only about half the secrets.
Yeah, but I don't really think that Kalento would play competitive spirit here. So what have you've eliminated?
You've eliminated Noble Sacrifice for sure, and Eye for an Eye. You always have to account for that.
Yeah. You've eliminated Repentance.
Well, now you see it's Redemption.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that is a great draw. Muster for Battle allows him to...
Wait, is it a good draw?
Drive.
Here's the thing. You know pretty much that only Explosive Trap is on the field. So you'll probably have to trade in your Knife Juggler, then trade in your Squire. Maybe trade in the Knife Juggler, Squire to face, and then use Muster for Battle to gain control of the field, and then kill off the Argent Horseman.
You could also have Knife Juggler hit the face, and then let 3 of the juggles plus the weapon hit most likely clean up. You only need 2 hits on the minions, guaranteed clear. And you keep Knife Juggler as a threat, and your opponent has to immediately answer it. Otherwise, whatever he puts out gets juggled for free.
Yeah. I think the key in this game is that the game has gone relatively slowly.
Yes.
So the Mysterious Challenger actually will get quite a bit of value here.
Oh, perfect. So now he attacks with the Argent Squire. Well, first you attack with your weapon to the face, and then Argent Squire traded.
I fight.
Oh, he wants to keep the weapon, then not attack. Okay,
I guess
fair enough.
the weapon charge and the... Oh, he keeps the weapon charge. That's pretty interesting.
That's the only thing that's like you want to not miss that damage, but I suppose in this scenario, he feels more than comfortable being able to go for it. No, Stam, he's a true face hunter. Just go for face.
Yeah, he is known for playing aggressive decks.
Do you
sometimes.
trade Monk?
No, you don't trade.
Do you face Monk?
I go face. You go face.
Yeah, you caught on by the end. I'm glad. Oh, he's got Noble Sacrifice. That's a pretty useful card as well. Interesting. I suppose he's just going to go Truce over Champion then here.
Yeah, you want to use up all your secrets as possible. Like, he'll probably attack you next turn. Somehow, with some kind of charger. This is definitely the best secret.
For justice.
Against the Face Hunter, at least.
And then he also has the ability to use Divine Favor slightly more effectively by dumping his hand like this. Not to mention that Mysterious Challenger comes down next turn. It's going to be slightly more ahead on board by that.
So Nostum's going to think about what secret could this possibly be.
Oh,
and I think
that Arcane Golem has a date with Destiny.
If you Arcane Golem here, like every secret is good for you except this one, Noble Sacrifice.
This is going to be awesome. Oh!
That didn't.
Noble Sacrifice.
That was probably the
taking one for the team.
The best Noble Sacrifice I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's like
I've seen them on Leroy.
Okay. But it was essentially something like
Who am I?
something like a wild growth packed into the Noble Sacrifice.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. It gains an extra mana crystal. And look at that.
It's a Paladin Christmas
tree. He's a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
That's right. Now is literally like you're playing a bunch of trap cards. Like, how do you play around all of them at the same time? It's really hard.
Yeah, I guess the one thing you do have going for you is that you know exactly what those traps are.
That's true.
So they're not actually, like, secret from you.
Competitive spirit does end up popping here. Kalento will be able to buy a little bit of time with this Choose Over champion, but he's first gonna have to draw. He's gonna be down to 9 health. His opponent has 5 damage. Basically, next turn, Nelstam has to win. Kalento might even not play Mustard for battle to try to reduce the chances of his opponent having a way to kill him.
You know what's actually really relevant is that 1 damage that Kalento missed previously with his weapon.
You're right. So he has the Muster then to go for the kill.
And that leads him up to another Unleash the Hounds attack.
The
And
Unleash
really
gives
close, too.
4 damage plus the quick shot and the hero power. But he does have Noble Sacrifice to absorb 1 damage.
Reporting for duty.
I would think he probably doesn't want to hero power at this
Already
point.
attacked.
He doesn't want, like, there's no point in getting that extra dude.
Yep.
You're just going to make your opponent have more firepower if he draws the Unleash. Oh.
Wow, well, that's a situation where,
Form ranks.
you know, the Garrison Commander is somewhat useful here. But in the large scheme of things, I don't think he can actually survive still. There it is. So it looks like Nelstam ends up passing. He uses it to draw 1 more card, the Glaive Zuka, just to see what he would have drawn. We get to see Cormac the Impaler shoot Ice Knights. That was sick.
Yeah, pretty sick. Yeah, very
Kalento's
nice.
up 2-0. 1 more game guarantees him a top 4 spot.
Yeah, very
And-
dominating as well.
Yeah, he's doing it rather effortlessly. Like, that game was sort of close, but not really. Like, Hunter was still very far away from killing. He needed 4 damage off the top, and he already used his Arcane Golem. Even if he drew a bow, I don't think he had enough mana to kill command, too. So, like, if he drew kill command, he wouldn't be able to hero power, which means he'd be short by 1 damage.
Yeah, not only that,
He
but,
needed a lot of help off the top of the deck.
yeah, not only that, but that's probably the best deck that Kalento, or the worst deck that Kalento had against the Face Hunter.
Yeah, it's the most vulnerable.
Yeah, his last deck is Control Warrior, and we all know how Control Warrior is supposed to do well against Face Hunter.
Yes. There are certain things to pay attention to. For example, they have less, like, they don't, you theorize they don't have Armor Smiths. So if they don't have Armor Smiths, it's sometimes hard to climb back, but they still have Shield Maidens.
Yeah.
They still have things replacing those Armor Smiths, like Alex draws a charge, which is like a proactive version of Armor Smith.
Yeah. We also know that he has 2 shield blocks, while some players may only choose to run 1. Also, even though most players say that Control Warrior is a dominating matchup against Face Hunter, I've noticed that it's actually much closer to 50-50 than it actually is. I think the stats in Blackrock Mountain were something like 18-16 in favor of Control Warrior. And what happens is that sometimes Control Warrior just doesn't draw its first, like, 2 or 3 good cards, and then it just spirals from there. Like,
That is a possibility as well.
You just need that Fiery War Axe, you need that Armor Smith for the early board control, or the Hunter Minions will just get like 2 or 3 attacks in each by themselves.
I think in the larger scheme of things, Nelstam has to win 3 unfavored matchups. The Hunter versus the Warrior is probably his best bet.
Oh, man.
Patron Warrior struggles against Control Warrior, as well as the Freeze Mage struggles a lot against Dragon Control Warrior. And if you peg it at, like, you know, maybe 20% win rate there, 30% win rate here, 40, his chance to win this series is in the single digits among them.
Yeah, not only that, but yeah, I think he's choosing the deck that he thinks has the biggest
Best chance, yeah.
And that's going to be against Control Warrior. The one thing he does have going for him here is that Kalento, it seems like he might be only running 1 Brawl in this deck. Have we even seen a Brawl yet, actually?
I don't recall it.
I think
maybe you saw in the Warrior deck I was playing
Oh,
when I had to do a ridiculous brawl and I lost.
That's possible.
Yes. Oh, look at that. On curve, Alex draws his champion. But it does die to a Fiery War Axe.
Yeah.
Have to be careful not to overextend.
And you can use it against an Acolyte that might come down later on.
Yes. And it doesn't lose any value. All right. That's fair. Because he forces a reaction out of his opponent, but the thing is he doesn't have a follow-up. Like, I can understand this if he had turns 3 to to 5 like mapped out already.
Yeah.
But he didn't have anything to do that next turn.
Well, not only that, but he didn't have a dragon in his hand besides the Twilight Guardian after he played the Alexstrasza's champion.
So he had Ysera.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Ysera still counts. And also, Alexstrasza's champion is not a dragon.
Yeah.
So.
it's really confusing because like she's like
Right.
riding a dragon, right?
Yeah, and it's also named Alexstrasza's champion. It is confusing. You are correct, Monk. Hearthstone confirmed hard game to understand. Now the Patron Warrior, Nostam, let's not forget him too much as we're frothing over some of Kalento's plays here. Nostam does have options at his disposal, but he just needs to prioritize drawing cards as quickly as he can. Kalento's going to drop this Agidrake, continue to build up the mounting pressure. I haven't seen Nostam run removal options. I see him instead favoring things like the Unstable Ghoul. So I wouldn't expect him to be seeing things like Shield Slam, and therefore cards like this Agidrake are much more safe.
Yeah. Not that easy of a way to deal with the Agidrake unless you have the Death Smite. That's really, I think, one of the key cards in this matchup, even more so than against Patron against Control Warrior. Since Dragon Warrior is so minion-based, you need to like kind of go for the board.
Do you want to hear something funny, Monk?
I always want to hear something funny. Yeah.
Back when Patron was first starting to get popular, Gara was starting to put Fen Creeper into his decks.
Okay.
And Fen Creeper was exactly what Twilight Guardian is, but for 5 mana. You have a 3/6 taunt that doesn't leave behind a 1/2 slime because the 1/2 slime was too much of a liability against Patron. So he'd be throwing it into his Hunter decks, and he had like an 80% crushing win rate against it. 'Cause he had 2 Fen Creepers just blocking every Patron.
At that point, though, why wouldn't you run Senjin instead?
Oh, he ran Senjin too.
Okay, fair enough.
But that was in different decks. So Senjin and some of his war decks, Fen Creeper. Also, Senjin does Dido Deathbite. Like, Fen Creeper doesn't Dido Deathbite.
You know, I know you guys have your like own Tempo Storm show, but you should make a Gara show. It's called That's So Gara. It would be filled with all
there's
these
so
stories
many
like this.
things about everything that's like relevant. That's so right now. That's so hype. All right, well, Dr. Boom on curve, very powerful. No execute in the hand for Nostam. This is looking really one-sided. And I can't tell if it's a mixture of the draws from Kalento combined with solid play, or Nostam getting a little unlucky with some of the responses. But at the same time, he just happens to have a lineup that's very poor against Kalento. One of those inevitabilities, perhaps.
Yeah, and we were kind of theorizing that Dart, his entire strategy revolved around countering Mysterious Challenger.
So maybe Dart should have played Kalento.
Exactly.
Nostam played Tom.
Kalento might have just gotten really lucky that he didn't have to play Dart.
Yeah, his Boom Blast hits for 7.
Execute maybe? No, that's the wrong low mana spell.
So he waits, and Dr. Boom gets a clean hit to the face. And he's going to use the Fiery War Axe here. Kalento, when did you get so rude? Where are your manners?
Kalento seems to be like an entirely different person today, actually.
Yeah.
He's playing like really fast.
You know what it is? It's the delays. He's playing fast. He's emoting. It's probably because he's just like, he wants to get the series over with.
I've noticed he's making like quote unquote mistakes. Like after he runs out of mana, he like clicks on the hero power button just to like make sure he gets it in. Just like little things like that. They're not really mistakes, but it's just something you wouldn't do.
They're errors that could cost you if you're not careful.
Yeah, exactly.
At the same time, he is one of the players traveling from afar, so you have to consider that. Nostam is a resident of the USA.
Yeah.
So he didn't have to travel too far.
Much less jet lag. He actually flew in from New York.
It's time to draw execute with Harrison. It's a one-outer at this point. No. And he's going to have to once again absorb the damage.
With his face.
7, 12, 16.
Death
That's
Bite.
lethal. Of course that's lethal. That's pretty much exactly it. So Kalento takes day number 1. First place in his group, 6-0 without a single game drop with all new decks.
Really impressive from
The
Kalento.
legend of Kalento continues.
Yeah. Kalento definitely won the 1-2 beat in this tournament, pretty much with decks no one's that experienced against, and also decks that seem to like kind of counter the metagame, I would say.
I'm impressed because I think the lineup worked out brilliantly. to be able to execute the strategy very well. There were a couple games that Colento didn't even draw perfectly, but ended up just fleshing out. Like he missed a turn here and missed a turn there, but still ended up being able to handle the aggressive threats pretty well. And what's really cool is that Nostam played a lot of the regular decks. He played Freeze Mage, he's played Face Hunter, he's played Patron Warrior. Those are like the staples a few months ago that players like Firebat were winning with Conquest back in the day, or you see a bunch of other people performing very well with. So I think that's a very, very strong statement from Colento to decisively take 6 games in a row.
Yeah, it may be too early to say it decisively. We will find out at the end of this tournament.
Well, the group stages is over for Colento. He advanced very clearly.
Yeah, but I mean, like, maybe these decks are the real deal. They're what TGT has brought. And Colento, as always, the player who plays the most games out of anyone, has figured it out at first.
If you are absolutely quiet and you hear laughing in the distance, that's Ben Brode. And if you hear a great interview about to happen, that's Anna Prosser waiting with Colento.